Classical music has long been a medium for exploring the supernatural, with composers often channeling their imagination to create pieces that evoke otherworldly visions. Some works seem almost as if they were inspired by dark forces, tapping into the spectral mysticism of dreams, the haunting tales of folklore, or even frightening visions of the infernal and of hell. Among these, three compositions stand out for their powerful evocation of supernatural elements: The Devil's Trill Sonata by Giuseppe Tartini, Songe de nuit de sabbat from Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, and Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. The Devil's Trill, for example, is a violin sonata famously attributed to a dream Tartini had, in which the devil himself appeared and played the most incredible piece of music. Tartini was once hailed as the finest musician in the world. His reputation as a violinist, composer, and teacher earned him great admiration during his lifetime, and his fame endured well into the 19th and 20th centuries, due in large part to a mystical tale he shared with the French astronomer Jérôme Lalande. Tartini recounted that in 1713 he experienced a vivid dream in which he made a pact with the devil, who became his servant. At one point, Tartini handed the devil his violin, and to his astonishment, the devil played a sonata so extraordinary that Tartini himself had never imagined anything so sublime. The composer awoke, immediately grabbed his violin to try to capture the dream's melody, but could only produce a piece far inferior to what he had heard. For this reason, he always referred to the piece as inferior, despite others commenting of the high technical skill required to play it. Fittingly, he called it the Devil's Trill Sonata. Next up is the French piece Songe de nuit de sabbat, which means Visions of a Witches Sabbath, from Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. Thought to be based on the composer's own life experiences, it plunges the listener into a nightmarish vision of hellish revelry. In this classical tone poem, we imagine a man unlucky in love who has been spurned by his one great love. Devastated, he drowns his sorrows in opium. Taking nearly enough to kill him, he is thrust into a series of hellish, opium-induced visions where he perceives himself to be at a witches' sabbath, surrounded by a grotesque throng of shadows, sorcerers, and monsters, all gathered for his own funeral. The air is filled with eerie sounds, strange groans, bursts of mocking laughter, and distant cries echoing through the darkness. The once beautiful melody representing the protagonist's beloved reappears, but it is now debased, transformed into a grotesque dance tune. And the woman he had loved appears herself in this cruel and unholy nightmare of a Sabbath, so to mock him further and add insult to injury at the very moment of his damnation. A roar of joy rises from the wicked assembly as she joins in on the revelry. This work then crescendos into chaos, painting a vivid picture of a soul lost to demonic forces. Given it was rumored to be based on the tragic love story and addictions of Berlioz himself, and was said to have been written in an opiate stupor, it is all the more spine-chilling and evocative, a true drug-induced vision and a heart-wrenching personal trauma of demonic oppression. Last, but certainly not least, is the infamous Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. Danse Macabre draws on a very real French folklore tale, a tale once widely believed to be a genuine supernatural phenomenon. You see, it was said back then that on certain nights the dead would rise from their graves to dance in the cemeteries, led by the angel of death himself, who played the violin. Saint-Saëns based his composition on a poem by Henri Casillas, which captures the eerie essence of this old belief. The winter wind blows and the night is dark. Moans are heard in the linden trees. Through the gloom, white skeletons pass, running and leaping in their shrouds. In this piece, Death appears at midnight on Halloween, summoning the dead to dance while he plays the fiddle. Represented by a solo violin, eerily detuned to evoke the otherworldly. The skeletons dance wildly until dawn, at which point the rooster crows and they return to their graves for another year. With its haunting violin melodies and bone-chilling xylophone imitating the rattling of bones, Danse Macabre masterfully evokes the unsettling imagery of the legend. This quintessential Halloween tale with Saint-Saëns' musical brilliance continues to stir in us dark imaginings of an ancestral fear of demonic forces that lurk in our graveyards at night. So there you have it, 3 dark classical works, all 3 of which evoke the supernatural, and with backstories to lend credibility to the fact that maybe, just maybe, real spiritual forces had a hand in their creation. Like the muses of ancient Greek mythology, weaving into sound the music of their dark spiritual plane and channeling that magic spell into our dimension through the medium of a tortured artist. So maybe keep one eye peeled if you fancy a bit of Devil's Trill or Danse Macabre one dark and stormy night, and so decide to play those haunting strains for a little Halloween ambiance by candlelight one solitary night. Just watch out, however, because you might not be quite as alone as you might think. You just might have caught the ear of one of the dark spirits that inspired those works. Well, that just about wraps up tonight's tale from Lorehound. Join us as we sniff out more of history's most interesting stories.
As the hound dog entered the dimly lit library, he sensed an aura of mystery surrounding the ancient scrolls. The dusty shelves towered above him as he sniffed his way through the labyrinth of books. Suddenly, he picked up a scent and followed it to a secluded corner. With bated breath, he approached the shelf and pawed at the book, revealing the hidden scroll. As he rolled it out, he knew he had discovered a treasure worth protecting at all costs.